Derek, can I speak to you after this meeting for a minute?
Certainly
Because
not.
I'm talking to Derek's picture, I think.
Okay, it's 9 o'clock. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order. And I'll first ask for any disclosure of pecuniary interest. And I see none. Move to delegations. Please be advised that in accordance with Council's procedural bylaw, no decision will be made today on the delegations. The committee will do one of the following. A, refer the matter to staff for a report. B, refer the matter to a future budget deliberations. Or C, take no action. So we're going to go to our second delegation, the Orillia Area Community Development Corporation. I see Wendy Timpano online there, and good morning, Wendy.
Good morning. Is it okay if I share my screen?
Yes, please. That'd be great.
Okay, great. Okay, does that look okay to everybody?
Yeah, we can see it here.
Okay, great. So good morning. Thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to come and present to you today. The reason I wanted to do a deputation is twofold. One, I wanted to provide information about the products and services that the CDC offers to the municipality and the businesses and social enterprises within it. But I also wanted to encourage you to continue to consider us a partner and a resource in pursuit of fostering economic sustainability and growth for the township. Going to switch here. So we are an economic development focused organization. We provide business loans, we do business coaching, we work on a number of different community economic development projects, we do professional development workshops, and also are involved in community strategic planning. While we're a delivery agent for multiple levels of government and other funding agencies, really the foundation of our existence is through the Community Futures Program. Not sure if anyone's heard of the Community Futures Program before, but it is a federally funded program that operates in 269 communities across Canada. Really, it covers the vast majority of rural Canada. It is a rural focused program. And our office has the great fortune of being governed by local volunteers. And what that means is really that we make local decisions based on local needs. We're also really thankful for all of the partnerships in the various projects and initiatives that we undertake. And that includes, of course, Severn Township. I have worked with Andrea in the past and also currently work with Tracy on a number of different things. So we lend money. We lend money to businesses. We lend money to social enterprises and not-for-profits. I have included a number of statistics throughout the presentation, the PowerPoint. I'm hoping you've had a chance to look at it in advance. I won't touch on the numbers specifically, but they're there if you want to reference them. You're probably wondering specifically, how have we helped Severn Township? And the nature of the work that we do directly with businesses is often confidential, but well, unless we can get the approval of the client or the business to share their story. And I have done that with a few, so I will be able to share a few examples throughout the presentation, which I hope will be helpful. One of those is Canoe Fresh Foods. The CDC has been able to support Canoe, the current owner, in the purchase of that business, as well as in through the last several years of growth. I mean, what an incredible community asset they are, and the products and services that they provide are obviously much needed and well used. And what's exciting too is that they've grown to employ now 31 full-time equivalent people, which is fantastic. So the next 3 slides are actually going to go through COVID relief program that we offered on behalf of the federal government in our communities. And that program is called the Regional Relief and Recovery Fund. You might also hear me refer to it as RRF. As the government had started rolling out some of the relief programs, it became apparent that there were definitely groups of businesses that were left out of some of those, including those such as sole proprietors was one, also younger businesses that didn't have a full year in business. There were also some businesses who were a bit larger, like some of the smaller hotels who have really high overhead costs and were unable to access enough funding through a program called CEBA, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with, or the Canada Emergency Benefit Business Account. So through RRF, we were able to provide some of the same benefits that CEBA provided, but specifically to those types of businesses that I mentioned. During year 1 of the global pandemic, we provided 59 of the RRF loans. That's in addition to 16 of our traditional loans, or 16 loans from our traditional loan fund. That year was, I mean, that's about 4 times the regular lending activity in that one year, which was very busy for us, but obviously much needed, given the challenges that businesses were facing. So this slide outlines some of the impacts of the lending program, maintained 147 jobs through that program, and also provided loans to 36 women-led businesses, 11 youth, and also 39 were sole proprietors who accessed that program. One example here was Northbrook Farms. If you can imagine, running events and that sort of thing, and then being shut down and having overhead costs, they were able to access that program as well. And another part of the RRF program was our business advisory services subsidies. We provided 82 organizations with subsidies, basically allowed them to access third-party advisory services or consulting in order to help them thrive in the changing environment. We provide as well ongoing coaching, training opportunities, and community connections. It's not uncommon for us to hold anywhere from 50 to 60 one-on-one private coaching, business coaching meetings a month with local businesses. One of the most common questions that we get is from businesses and organizations is, can I access any grant money for my business? And one of the challenges there, of course, is that there's not a lot of grants available for for-profit businesses. Loans, yes, but grants, not so much. However, the CDC has developed a fund that is called the Community Capacity Building Fund. And so they're not large grants. They are grants of up to $3,000. We operate it once annually in the fall as we have budget available, but have had the opportunity to do it for several years now. Some of the businesses in Severn Township that have taken advantage of that are Bass Lake Farms for purchasing equipment for efficiencies and broadening their market, Cut Right Tree Service, some minor renovations to increase or develop other revenue streams, Copper Pot Nuts, Newscape Landscaping. So there's also several more in all of these different programs that we've helped along the way. BizLink is another program that we offer. Maybe it speaks for itself. It's interesting to see the trends. We have seen a really strong increase in the number of people looking to retire and transition out of businesses. We've also seen an increase in the number of people looking to buy businesses. So that's a nice connection. And one of the unique propositions that we provide through this program is a local matching service. And that is operated at whatever level of anonymity is required by either the buyer or the seller. And as a community futures organization, we're well positioned to provide this service because we also offer that wraparound support like coaching, business loans, and ongoing support. So, I mean, essentially this program is about keeping businesses open, keeping people employed, keeping storefronts filled. And over the past 4 years, we have assisted with 79 successful business transitions. Our Pathways to Employment program is a youth wage subsidy program, which of course helps youth in their while they're seeking employment, full-time employment, but it also helps the employer by providing a 6-month wage subsidy. So I've talked a lot, about the core programs and services that we have so far. There are also there's much more to what we do in the community and how we get involved. And this slide provides a short list, I would say, of some of the projects we have been involved with. I have pages of projects, a listing in the years that we've been around. A couple of them that I would like to point out: Severn Township was a key partner in our tourism investment opportunities research. And in that research, we identified some key opportunities for investment in the tourism sector. Our business retention and expansion survey in 2016 provided really excellent information for developing strategy, products, and services for the businesses in our communities. And Severn, again, was a key partner in that project. And I actually understand from Tracy that the township is looking at, we'll be working towards an economic development strategy, which I think is exciting. And I've also been in touch with Tracy to help identify potential funding sources for moving that project forward. And the CDC will be happy to provide in-kind expertise and services with respect to that kind of a project. So those are just a few examples. And many of those examples and the things that we do require collaboration and partnership. Almost everything we do does. So just in closing, when I started the presentation, I mentioned the 2 reasons why I was here. I hope the information I've provided is helpful. And I also mentioned that I wanted to encourage you to consider us a resource and partner going forward. And of course, I'll leave this to you, but if there are opportunities for us to work together, that would be fantastic. And if you come across individuals or businesses, entrepreneurs who could use our services, please send them our way. We would be happy to help them as best we can. And just want to say thank you very much for the opportunity. And if it's allowed, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Wendy. Thanks for a great presentation. And if you want to unshare your screen, I'll ask the committee if they've got any comments or questions. I'll open it up to them. I see the mayor wants to speak, Member Burkett. And you're on mute, Mike.
There we go. Sorry. Through the chair, thank you, Wendy, for the presentation. And you may not be able to answer this question, but the last 3 years, the struggles that we've all had to endure, how did your businesses fare? Were there, and again, I don't know if you can divulge that, were there businesses that failed that were under your watch? Or how did they fare for the most part?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we've seen some businesses do exceptionally well. They've been able to take advantage of the opportunities presented through COVID and offer products and services that worked, or pivot to online, digital type, move towards digital. There have been a few that really struggled, and we have seen a very small handful close, but we've been really pleasantly surprised so far to see how many businesses have really stuck in there and have been doing okay. But I would suggest that I'm not sure we're out of it at this point. There's a lot of, businesses have incurred a lot of debt through COVID that is of absolutely out of their control and no fault of their own. And that can be a struggle. So we're hopeful that they'll be able to make it through, but I think the next couple of years, as some of that debt becomes due, that will be a bit of a struggle, but we hope that they'll manage through it.
supplementary through the chair, if I may, to Wendy. I just want to thank you and your staff for what you do. And yes, we know that we want to fight for Severn, but because we're small and because of our partnerships with our neighboring municipalities and of course the city of Orillia, I think we all need to work together to make our businesses strive. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you. Member McIntyre has a comment.
Yeah, thank you. Through the chair to Wendy, did I understand you to say that you put sellers of small business together with buyers? Is that a possibility?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, well, I have someone in mind for that. Thank you very much. I liked your presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So I think we've got a motion. If Allison can read the motion.
Absolutely. So the motion just reads that the delegation from the Orillia Area Community Development Corporation regarding business support services be received for information.
We have a mover for that, please. Moved by Member Brennan, seconded by Member McIntyre. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you, Wendy. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Okay. So Allison, I think we'll move to delegation 3, if that's okay.
Yes, and I have messaged Inspector Yateman just to find out where he is.
Whenever we can jump back to him. And so at this point, I'd like to welcome Dave Ritchie, President of Simcoe County Agricultural Society. Good morning, Mr. Ritchie.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. I guess, Your Worship, councillors, thank you for the opportunity for a presentation today. I know quite a few of you as well. I am the president of the Simcoe County Federation of Agriculture. We represent some 1,560 members across the county. I believe Karen Telford is our local director from up in your neck of the woods. We've been an advocate. We're celebrating our 83rd year here in Simcoe County as an advocate for agriculture. We have numerous projects that we carry on through the years. We support the local 4-H clubs. We have bursaries for continuing education for kids in agriculture. We just finished a round of checks this last week to celebrate Canada Ag Day, where we donate to the local food banks. I believe there's a couple of Coldwater and Lighthouse in Orillia, to name a couple. We cover off 8. We've been doing that since COVID. We believe it's a needy sort of effort. We also had some workshops that we used to run, and we're just getting back online. Keep kids safe. And it's going to happen on the 15th of April over here on Tractor. It's a farm safety exercise for farm kids. And we also have Farmers Feed Cities, and that's going to come back online in 2024. Now, I guess the big thing for us and part of our movement today, or presentation today, is to identify or bring forward what agriculture means to Simcoe County. In Simcoe, we farm, manage, cultivate, stewardship some 500,000 acres, and we cover pretty well everything known to man in growing food, whether it be fruit and vegetables in the south end to crops in the north, maple syrup, honey. Simcoe is fortunate we have it all. And so within that, we have 1,846 registered farms. Those farms generate $1.1 billion worth of economic activity within our boundaries in Simcoe. 1 in 8 jobs comes from agriculture in Simcoe. And that's rather, when you look at the province, has $47 billion, Simcoe generates $1.1 billion of that. We have a unique situation in Simcoe that we've got 3 things going for us. We have climate, we have exceptional soil, and we've got the people. I've got a video here that I'm going to get the Madam Clerk to play it for us. Being we had COVID, we had to withdraw from some of our activities. So we commissioned a videographer, Nate LaCroix from Penetang or Midland, and he's done a bunch of videos for us. So this is going to be a snapshot or a quick overview of some of the things that's going on in Simcoe County. So Allison, Madam Clerk, would you please play this clip for us?
This is a farm that we bought at just north of Wyvale. There's 130 acres here and 250 across on every side of the road. We rotate the crops every year, corn, soybeans, and wheat. It helps with the disease resistance. Weed control is better. We try to get away with as low a spray as possible.
So with that, under 116B, we have the section of Orillia, because it's been called Orillia. Her numbers for J, which was born on January 1st.
It's all things to learn, and great resource to work with your associations, people in the community, the industry, and other interests.
So as a horticultural farmer here in Simcoe County, one of the most important programs is the Seasonal Agricultural Working Program. These workers you see behind me have anywhere from 5 to 10 to 15 years experience coming back to my farm. When we buy land, you want the sandy loam land, but you also want it near a reliable water source. So whether it be a river or a stream, the Simcoe County area is good to us. This machine is multifunctional. It does a little bit of everything. In 3 passes, it will mow, spray, fertilize. It has the ability to prune trees, fumigate, cut Christmas trees. We really appreciate that people take the time and the effort to track down their favorite maple syrup by their food functions. Go to the farm, go to the farm market. So it just goes support us. We see local businesses. We have the luxury of having Jordan Bay not too far from us. That provides us with a little bit more moisture. Yeah. We have excellent land here. Good soil. Cows and crop and all the rest of them that can really inspire and motivate you to get up in the morning.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Clerk, for that. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yes, I can, Dave. Yes.
Okay, good. Some of those people in there, the last clip, Johnny Miller, just a quick note, him and his family started an on-farm dairy over near Creammore back 15 plus years ago. And that was to recycle reusable glass bottles, and you know that with a lot of hard work it's taken off, and now we've got the second on-farm dairy with Sheldon Creek. With those people, I guess what we want to identify is people like that's in this video are local people. They're people that have volunteered to do fair boards and Lions clubs and hockey teams, curling clubs. We've even got a bunch of farmers on the Source Water Committee, and we work to make policy to protect our water sources. So I think the message here is we've got a unique situation here in Simcoe County where we have a vast amount of capacity to grow food. And I think of the ask that we've got here today, or what I would like to mention is we're losing 315 acres of farmland a day in Ontario. And we're getting dangerously close. And we're not saying not build, but we think we should be building smart, build up, not out, build around, not over. And we got to start looking at what we do locally, and some of these building processes that we're involved in. I know working with your worship, Burkett and Andrea and them over the last year with the county on some of the mapping with this MCR, it's sort of been out in limbo right now, but we have to still maintain what we can do locally, and we've been an advocate for that. So we're here to promote agriculture, and we're also here to promote farmer wellness. As you know, agriculture is no different than any other industry, and we have a whole gamut of stuff. We have an online health self-help for that's Man 724 for people that's in extreme situations that need counseling. So at that, your worship, I thank you for the opportunity. I welcome some questions. I would like you to know that we are here as a resource in times coming forward. If there's anything that you have questions or need to do, we'd be glad to help. We are affiliated with the Ontario Federation of Agriculture, and we have a whole vast team people there, experts in different fields that can counsel us through or coach us through, that are doing research all the time to help us and people like yourselves make solid and sound decisions. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I will turn it back to you. And if there's any questions, I would be glad to answer anything I could do.
Great. Thank you, Dave. I'll open up to the committee. If you have any comments or questions, please let me know. And for me, growing up on a family farm, which goes back to the 1800s, it's great to see agriculture alive and doing well in Simcoe County. Mayor Burkett.
Thank you through the chair to Dave. Thank you for your presentation, Dave. And Dave's correct. The many people that sit and volunteer are making us aware of what's happening here in Ontario. When I look at the size of Ontario, and I was taken back when I actually realized that of all the lands and the size of this province, only 16% of it is actually good for agriculture. So for every acre we lose something that we need to provide for everyone, which is food. So I think moving forward in this whole MCR process that Dave has spoken to, some of the mapping is wrong, and I know that we're working on it. And I know we'll bring that forward at a later date because it is a county issue that we're looking at. But I know that I will keep all of council abreast of what's going on. I'm looking for your support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Member Minnings.
Hi, thank you. And through the chair to Dave. Yeah, thank you very much for your presentation. The question is, as this council looks towards economic development throughout the township, what's your best advice on considering agriculture as an economic development sector? Because honestly, in the past, I hadn't considered that when I thought of economic development, but I'd like to get your advice on that.
Well, it's just my opinion, but it's an ongoing thing. And I mentioned Johnny Miller, the dairy and whatnot. They have an open house at their farm during the summer months, and they host 5,000 or 6,000 people at it. And that's agritourism. Up our way and up your way, you have several up, like Sweetwater Harvest over here at Midland, and Johnny Williams that's involved there opens his store in the Wymarsh, and he's just over the hill. So we have all kinds of tourism that's coming in here to celebrate the maple syrup season. McCutcheon's over in whatnot. I don't think the Taylors open their bush up, but for their maple syrup. Shaw's, for example, I'm jumping boundaries here from one municipality to the other, but some of these entrepreneurs or farmers that have opened up, I believe there's 54 farms that open their doors to on-farm sales and on-farm production and sales. So it is a big element of agritourism. And it's growing all the time. I like further processing, like Nickel and Farms, the outlet that they've got there. Eagles, for sure, over there on the Horseshoe Valley Road. And Hewitt's, Ron Hewitt's. I'm just trying to roll off the top of my head, but Hewitt's have quite an ongoing sort. So that's part of the agritourism and local economic development that we're doing here in the near future that I can think of right off the top of my head.
Thank you.
Excellent. Well, good. So, Allison, have you got a motion for us here?
I do. So the motion reads that the delegation by Dave Ritchie regarding the Simcoe County Agricultural Society be received for information.
And we have a mover for that, please. Moved by Member Burkett, second by Member Minnings. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you very much, Dave, and hope you have a great day.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and your worship and council. It's really a treat to meet and see you guys again. And if there's anything, as I said earlier, we're here for you at any time. Just give me a call.
Great. Thank you very much.
Take care.
Okay, great. So our next delegation is Inspector Yateman from the OPP for his quarterly visit. Good morning, Inspector.
Good morning.
Hi there.
Thank you, everyone. For your fourth quarter report on the major crime first, or the violent crime first. Sexual assaults, there was 5 sexual assaults reported during that quarter. 2 were cleared by charge and 2 are still.
Did you want to share your screen, Allison, or Inspector? Was that better for you, or?
I don't think Inspector Yateman typically shares his presentation. I think you just.
Okay, that's fine. So. Yeah, we have it. We have it anyway, but go ahead. Sorry.
No problem. So 2 are open and still under investigation, and 1 where the victim requested no further action. We had 8 assaults during the fourth quarter. 6 were domestic related. 1 was assault on a police officer, and 1 was a neighbor assault. We had 31 domestic related occurrences. 7 were cleared by criminal charges that resulted in 24 that were non-criminal investigations. Under the other crimes against persons category, 4 occurrences were harassments, 5 were threats, 1 was an extortion, 1 was an arson. And we had 6 of those cleared by charge, 1 where the victim requested no further action, and 4 were insufficient evidence to proceed. Break and enters, under property crime, we had 3 break and enters reported during that time. All 3 were in business locations. Theft overs, we had 4 theft overs. 3 were theft of trailers, being like work type trailers. 1 was a camper trailer. 1 is still open and under investigation. The other 1 is insufficient evidence to proceed. We had 14 theft under occurrences. So 2 were theft from motor vehicles. 1 was like a gasoline drive off. 3 were shoplifts, and 8 were other theft unders. 12 were insufficient evidence to proceed, and 2 are open and still under investigation. We had 2 stolen goods occurrences, possession of a stolen vehicle and a possession of a stolen trailer. And 1 of those was cleared off by charge. We have 10 fraud occurrences, a health scam, a tax scam, investment or money transfer scam, job scams, and selling products. 1 was cleared by charge. 2 are still open and under investigation. 1 where the victim declined to proceed, and 6 where there's insufficient evidence to proceed. We had 3 mischiefs during this period. 1 was cleared by charge, and 1 is insufficient evidence to proceed, and 1 where the victim declined to proceed. The mischiefs resulted in gates being smashed at 1 location, damage to a mailbox at another, and a broken door at another. area. We issued 137 provincial offenses notices during the fourth quarter, and through 5 focus patrols, we issued 33 provincial offense notices, doing 117 patrols, resulting in 110 hours of patrol. Our focus patrols were in the areas of South Sparrow Lake Road, Arteria Drive, Highway 12 in Warminster, Highway 11 in Souls Road, Murphy Road between Walmart and Highway 12 as well. And just of note, there were no traffic complaints in the area of Marchmount Public School during the fourth quarter that we received specifically. We did conduct 7.75 hours of foot patrol during that quarter, and 41 rides as well, ride setups, which sorry, I do not have the results of the ride. I can get that if you would like. And there were 0 fatal motor vehicle collisions in the township of Severn in the fourth quarter. And that concludes my report, pending any questions.
Very good, informative. We're going to start with Member Brennan and then Member Burkett. Okay, and you're on mute there, Member Brennan. You're still there, still on mute. There you go.
Thanks. Sorry, thought I got it the first time. Yes, thank you for your report. In your statistics, there seems to be a trend, fairly high trend towards sexual assault increases. Do you have any explanation for why that trend would occur at this time in the area?
We've had a significant increase in sexual assaults in all of our jurisdictions. Some of the increases have been can be explained more in the city of Orillia, where there's old age homes and nursing homes. There's now mandates by law to report all sexual assaults, regardless of the type or of the victim / accused. At times before, if a dementia, somebody who had dementia potentially reached out and touched somebody else that also had dementia, that might not have always been reported, but now it is. For the township of Severn, I can dive into the sexual assaults for the year to determine if there are any trends, but the ones that are reported in this quarter are mainly, there's only one stranger sexual assault, and that was in a business. The others are all either friends or casual acquaintances. So I am not sure why the increase, at least in this quarter.
Thank you. Thank you.
Member Burkett.
Thank you. Through the chair to Inspector Yateman. I know that we've spoken before about the gun range and the shooting after hours, and thank you for what you've done. But there was another incident last fall, and I didn't call you. It was he lives about 4 miles away. And I think moving forward, if we can just have better communication, I understand the OPP needs to shoot at some nights late, but we do have a communications officer. If there's some way that you could maybe reach out there and say, listen, tonight there's going to be shooting until 10:30. I think the concern is some of the families have young kids, and depending on which way the wind blows, it becomes very, very loud and disturbs their sleep. But I know that we've worked together on this, and I think if we just communicate a little better, and if it's on our website, I can say to the resident, you know what, hey, we're getting the heads up now, we're taking care of it. That's my first ask. Thank you. The second one is I just want to ask your thoughts. The quarry on Burnside and the slurry that comes out. I know that they have put in a wash basin, but there seems to be on certain days more of that slurry on the road. And I know that we've been working with them, and I know that we're going to repave the road and hopefully fix the problem. But if someone was to get into an accident based on the amount of slurry on the road, who would be at fault?
That's a great question. I'm not sure if I could answer that. That might be a court of law that would decide that. We would indicate if there was a road condition issue on our motor vehicle collision report. But the road condition issue could be anything from slush to loose gravel to whatever that is. We would jot notes, but Unfortunately, that would come down to a civil litigation likely to determine who is at fault.
Okay, thank you. I thought maybe you'd go in and give them a warning that they're putting all this stuff on our roads, but that's okay. No, I was just joking, but thank you for that.
Thank you. Anyone else have any comments? Okay, great. If I'll ask Allison for a motion.
Certainly. So the motion reads that the year-end 2022 and fourth quarter update from Inspector Yateman be received for information.
Okay, we have a mover for that, please. Moved by Member Burkett, second by Member Jansen. All in favor? Carried. Does the committee want to keep going? Do you want to take a quick 5-minute break? We'll keep going then if that's what I get there. Member Burkett, is that a yes? Keep going? Okay. We'll go into section D, consent agenda. Does anyone have any items to be pulled for discussion? Member Burkett.
Thank you, through the chair. I would like to pull 1.2 and 1.4, D12 and 1.4, please.
Okay, Member Brennan. You're on mute again there.
D2.1, please.
Okay, Allison's got that. Okay, adoption of the regular agenda.
Thank you. Motion reads that the agenda be adopted, including consent items, with the exception of items D1.2, D1.4, and D2.1.
Okay, we have mover and seconder. Moved by Member McIntyre, second by Member Jansen. All in favor? Carried. Okay, we'll move into section F. Report from officials. F1.1, additional road to be added to reduce road restrictions. So I see Alex's name on the report. If Alex would like to appear and then make your presentation. Or Derek.
Through the chair, I believe he's watching here, but I'll start it off.
Okay.
So the report here is actually just a correction to the existing bylaw for seasonal load restrictions. You'll note that most of the township, 98% or so, are applicable to the seasonal load restrictions that are coming in March 1st. However, there is a small stretch there up to the quarry on I think it's New Brennan, sorry, that wasn't included in the exemption. So those are full loaded roads. They do service the quarry that is not restricted, and we wanted our bylaw to reflect accurately the practice that we have.
Okay, great, thank you. Anybody on the committee have any comments or questions on that? If not, I'll ask again for our clerk for a motion.
Okay, the motion reads that Public Works Report number W23-005 dated February 22nd, 2023, with respect to additional road be added to reduce load restrictions be received, and further that the required amending bylaw be to amend Schedule A of bylaw 2015-44 be brought forward to the next council meeting.
Okay, we have a mover and a seconder for that motion. Moved by Member Brennan, seconded by Member Minnings. All in favor? And that's carried. And we've lost your video there, Member Burkett. Okay, we'll move to F2.1, procurement policy update. I'm not sure if Derek would speak first and then Andrew, or vice versa. No, let you come on there.
Okay, through the chair.
Mr. Burke.
I'll start this one. So the report in front of you today on procurement is not a whole lot of change, but a new tool for staff to manage and monitor and address vendor performance. So over the years, we've updated the procurement policy to do a number of things, give some flexibility in lower dollar value acquisitions, also provide a very competitive and open procurement process for those larger dollar value opportunities, make sure we're getting our best bang for your buck, I suppose you could call it, on these large dollar acquisitions. And one thing that was sort of missing is how do we manage performance of vendors that may consistently provide somewhat poor service or poor products, or generally may not have the performance standards or not meeting our expectations for the work. Right now, it is fairly difficult as a public entity and buyer managing the procurement laws in the province to include such a performance prohibition in vendors bidding and stuff like that. So we want to make it fair, we want to make it clean, and we want to make it a very detailed process on how to manage vendor performance during the contract, at the end of the contract, and then if there's substantial issues with the performance of the vendor, consider suspending that vendor from future bidding opportunities.
Okay, member Burkett.
Thank you, and through the chair to Derek, thank you for bringing this forward, Derek. I can't say much, but we do have an in-camera discussion later.
Yeah.
And I think this is why Derek I know this is why Derek has brought it forward, because I had concerns. So moving forward, not only what will we see in camera, but any other contractors that may not perform as Derek has stated to what their obligations are, we'll have a way out. So thank you for bringing this forward, Derek.
Thank you for that. Any other comments, questions from the committee? Member Jansen.
Thank you. Thank you.
I believe they're both sitting in council chambers side by side, which is what's causing the feedback.
So one simply needs to turn their speakers off and we'll be good.
Okay, so I think Member McIntyre's is off.
Okay, let's try that. A little bit better?
A bit of an echo, but I think it's okay.
Okay, Derek, I noticed in the package, there's two sections. One's the request for proposal and the other is the request for tender. And I guess the only thing I noticed is that in the request for tender, I believe it said something about contracts would be awarded to the lowest bidder. Is there a way to control that to ensure that it's being provided to a contractor that could provide the best quality of service?
Certainly, the request for tender is a binding type contract, and for good reason. And across all of the country, actually, public buyers use that procurement vehicle to secure big dollar value projects that are very detailed spec. Like there's a bit of a process to make sure you know exactly what you're trying to buy. But then it is low bid, and the contract is called a contract A and B. The contract A is the bind to enter into the next contract. So there's something called a performance bond, or bid bond, and they would forfeit that money. So it's typically anywhere from 10% of the project value that is put on the table for the bidding purpose. And if the low bid walks away from that, that bid bond is forfeited. So those are a low bid accepting type procurement vehicle, and for good reason. We want the best price that we can get for those services that are very detailed. The only way to necessarily say that you could not award to the lowest bid would be in instances where there is fraud or collusion or unbalanced bidding or any bad faith bidding practice.
Is that okay, Member Jansen? Okay, thank you. Anyone else have any comments? If not, we'll ask again for the clerk for a motion.
Certainly. So the motion reads that Corporate Services Report number C23-001 dated February 22nd, 2023 regarding our procurement policy update be received, and further that the updated procurement policy be approved, and further that the required bylaw be brought forward to the next regular council meeting.
Okay, we have a mover and seconder for that motion. Moved by Member Burkett, seconded by Member Jansen. All in favor? That's carried. We'll move into F3 administration. Tracy Roxborough regarding the council strategy workshop, mission and vision review. Is Tracy going to speak to this?
I believe so, Mr. Chair. She's just
okay.
Good morning. I am. I apologize for that. One moment, please.
That's okay.
Okay. So good morning,
morning.
Taylor and members. So for the report today, this is in reference to the January 19th strategy workshop that council attended. The goal of the workshop was to identify the priorities, goals, and objectives for your upcoming strategic plan for this term of council. And as part of that exercise, council did complete a first review of the current mission and vision statements that were approved in the previous strategic plan. And out of that exercise that we went through on the 19th, it was recommended by the facilitator that staff propose two options for your review for the revised mission and vision based on the comments that you provided during that session. And in this report, you will find options A and B that have been created for your review. And at this time, I'm just asking for your direction on which one you prefer and that you feel reflects the feedback that you provided and is a description and that you are pleased with.
So perhaps we can ask the committee to refer to the mission statement first, and then we'll do the vision statement. Member Minnings, I see your sign up.
Hi, thank you. Through the chair to Tracy, thank you for laying these both out as we had discussed. I'm looking at the mission statement A, and I know we're just looking at that, but it's very similar to the vision statement A, and I just needed you to explain that before I can comment on the mission statement.
Through the chair to Member Minnings. So excuse me, you say that mission statement A is very similar to the proposed vision statement A?
Yes.
So in terms of the mission statement, so as part of the report, I did provide just a very brief kind of summary of what, you know, from my research and perspective, what a mission statement is to be, which is defining our purpose. So that really is what the mission statement A is about. For vision statement option A, this is really our ideal future that would kind of build upon, I guess, the mission statement, but also where we want to be once achieving those actions within the strategic plan. So they are very connected, I guess I would say, because they do relate to one another. Is that does that answer your question, Member Minnings?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm just not used to seeing a mission statement like the first sentence is identical to the first sentence of the vision. But I was just wondering if that was intended. Thanks.
Through the chair to Member Minnings. That is, I guess maybe it isn't common, but I thought that it fit in terms of us trying to still strive towards something that we want to be, that it connected and made sense in the way that I was presenting it forward. But of course, if you feel that should be changed, I'm willing to accept corrections or edits to that as you feel would be suitable.
Thanks, Ritchie. I see our CAO has her yellow sign up.
Thank you. I just wanted to pass on the deputy mayor's regrets, but she did call me and talk to me about this particular project and wanted to let the committee know that she highly preferred statements B for both mission and vision. So I'm not sure if that helps your discussion or not, but she wanted me to pass that on.
And she also called me with the same request. Member Brennan.
I think some good crafting then on both. I favor mission A and vision B. That's it.
Okay, Member Minnings.
Yeah, and thank you. Thanks for that through the chair to the CEO about Member Cox. I too prefer both B and C for the fact that the definition, Tracy, that you provided provides clear direction around sort of the direction of each one of those bullets. And my only comment would be in vision statement B. And again, it's not mandatory, but I would love it to just be one sentence. So for example, towards the end where it says quality of life for residents, then comma, creates opportunities for the community, comma, and welcomes investments. So it's all one connected thought as our vision. And I think you captured it perfectly. Thank you.
Okay, so let's maybe can we do a straw vote on first with the mission statement? Who would vote for mission statement? We'll just do that, and then we'll vote first of all for A for mission statement. So we've got 2. Now we 3, and a straw poll for B mission statement. Did you vote twice, Member McIntyre? Or did I see? Is it 4-3? Sorry, 4. Go ahead, Member McIntyre. And I don't know if Allison caught that. How did you see that, or we do it again?
I'm in favor of AB.
Okay, so it looks like
I didn't intend to vote twice. I'm sorry.
Okay, so. Was it a tie vote then? Is it 3-3 for
your mission? Yes. So
I'll pass that back to the clerk. How do we?
Bit of a chat then, I guess, as to whether or not what maybe council likes more in one than the other, and if they can maybe be blended.
Sure, Member Minnings. Hopefully, you can help us out.
I'm just question: how could it be 3-3 if we have Member Cox's vote also?
I think she has to be in person to vote. Though.
Yeah, so we don't do abstentia votes. So it's 3-3 and therefore lost completely. So right now you have no A or B. So I'll leave that to Mr. Chair to drive that discussion a bit more.
Okay, so is there a compromise to make an option C that can blend? So maybe Member Brennan can tell us why you liked A better than B. Phil, if you could comment on that.
I just felt that it provided the overall balance of our mission in terms of growing forward and yet retaining, in essence, our the character of our township. So I like the balance in the statement. That's really what appealed to me.
Okay, then I'll ask Member Minnings the same question, but why did you like B better than A?
I thought B was a better blend forward. It captured the responsible development, which was a critical component that I wanted to get. I love the high level of service. It does talk to the unique identity preserving the environment and our values, our historic small town charm, I thought it aligns perfectly with our actual logo for the township with those 5 blocks or pillars, those visual icons that we have in it. And I like it.
So would it be possible that we could refer this to a later meeting then, Allison? Is that, and see if Tracy can come up with an option C perhaps, and for discussion, or what are your thoughts on that?
Certainly, I think staff might ask for. So is there one in particular that you're leaning towards that you'd like tweaked, or?
So
I think I'll ask Member Burkett there. I think he had his sign up earlier there.
Thank you, through the chair. Like, both statements are good. Statement A, mission A, is a little wordy. It's just got a little bit too much in it. I feel like it. There's more of an impact with our mission statement B. Is there something we can? I'm not sure what we could take out of mission A. Maybe we should think,
yeah,
or maybe if Tracy has an idea.
Through the chair to the members, I'm just maybe those who liked mission statement A, maybe you could pull out a few words that you think are missing from statement B. That would allow me to integrate those into mission statement B in a way that maybe blends them together in a way that you would find acceptable. And really one of the goals of when I was rewriting this was to try and reduce the words. The current mission statement are quite long and wordy. So the mission statement A was developed with limited kind of editing from the current mission and vision. And then mission statement B was developed as kind of a rewrite with a goal to reduce the overall quantity of words, but also to communicate kind of those main statements about our identity, the things that you've identified within your strategic plan are wrapped into those mission and vision option Bs that are presented to you today. So I hope that helps. But going back to what I originally suggested there, maybe those that did vote for mission statement A, you can underline or circle the words that you feel are missing in mission statement B, that you feel make mission statement A preferable, and let me know what those are. So maybe Chair Taylor, we could go through those that did vote for A, and they could just verbally let me know what those words are. Because I think at the next meeting we'd like to, or maybe I could defer to the CAO which she would prefer, but maybe we could craft something based on your feedback today to bring back to the next meeting, or depending on how this year. Yeah, I
think I'd like to see that, but I'll let Member Jansen, he had his sign up. If you want to speak there, Dan.
Yep. Part of the mission statement A that I liked was the encouraging all season tourism. I know that's extremely important to our township. And I think if we could fit that into mission statement B, that would work for me.
So I kind of agree with, if Tracy could reword that, get it on next week's agenda if possible, and come up with a revised mission statement. Allison, did you want to, is that doable? And or did Lori want to comment on going forward here? Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. If it's just a few word changes, hopefully Tracy can, because the agenda for next week goes out tomorrow. So we're putting a lot of pressure on Tracy. But that being said, in March, we're bringing the completed strategic planning document, which we'd like to have the mission and vision in. So we would like to keep it moving. So if we're not putting too much pressure on Tracy and she thinks she can tidy that up today and get it on council, then we can probably get it done.
But I think we've got an agreement for the vision statement. I believe if we could have a quick straw poll on that one, who would vote for A for the vision statement? And who would vote B for the vision statement? So I think that's good. And Mayor Burkett, did you want to comment?
Thank you through the chair. Just is it possible, Chair, that we give Tracy a few minutes if we went to a different we could go on with the agenda and then come back to this if Tracy thinks she can come back with some wording for us?
Because we've got a few more items to go through, Tracy, and we can just see where you're at. And if you haven't quite got it done, then I agree with the CAO. We can put this on next week's agenda, hopefully. Okay, so can we, what do we do there, Allison? Can we just come back to this?
If committee would like, we can temporarily table this whole report, give Tracy some time, move on to the next one and come back to it.
Okay. Do we need a motion for that, or?
No, we can just come back to it. We're committee. It's a little less formal than council. So
okay, if that's okay with Tracy, we'll come back and see how you made out there.
Okay. Yes,
thank you very much. Okay, we'll jump into F3.2, cannabis retail in Severn, and that's our clerk. That's her report.
There we go. Fairly straightforward report, I think. I wanted to make sure that council or committee understood that there is quite a process that the AGCO requires applicants to undertake before these retail operations can open their door. One portion in particular does include public consultation. They do not do in-person consultation, but the notice does have to be posted. Residents can share their views. They're very particular about location with respect to proximity to schools. There are concerns that they can look at with respect to public interest items that are brought forward relate to public health and safety, prevention of illegal activities, and protecting and restricting youth access to cannabis. So I just wanted to make sure that that piece of the puzzle was very clear. Planning did provide some maps as to where, according to current zoning, these locations could go into. So that is attached to the report. I guess at this point in time, it's if there's any questions.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have some comments? Member Minnings. And then Member Burkett.
Thank you. Through the chair to Allison, thank you for this. There are two new pieces of information from what I recall from the last meeting that you included. One is the map, and I had a close look at the map, and what it represents in green are all the areas where cannabis stores could be located. Is that correct?
Give me 1 second just to make sure I get the right color, but I believe you are correct.
Okay. So, and then the other thing, part of the act states that it is the Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario that it's ultimately up to them and not the community to give approvals, I guess, if that's the word, for retail businesses to operate, and which leaves the municipality, as far as I understand, the municipality will relinquish all of our control over where and how many stores can be located across the township within those green communities. So where I'm going with this is the number of cannabis stores that are operating legally in Ontario. And I couldn't get stats more current than June of 2022, but we have more than twice as many as any other province in Ontario. And I do have a concern about, perhaps losing control as to how many of these can operate in one stretch of those green areas, because those green areas are fairly condensed, and then there's stretches in between them. So I I just envision a small main street with 4, 5, 6 of the same type of retail businesses in it. That's all I'll say. So I just wanted to clarify the map and just state my concern about the control that we do relinquish.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Member Burkett.
Thank you. Through the chair, just to maybe you, Mark, as it's in your ward. My concern is if we give approval here without, and I understand they have to go through a public process. If we say yes here, they still have to go through it. But before we do that, should we not reach out to the locals that are there to get their thoughts on it before we make a decision here? Something that may impact them. Yeah, and they may be fine with it.
Yeah, I've given this a lot of thought, and to be honest, I don't see the difference between LCBO outlet and a cannabis outlet, to be honest. And that's like we were, it was back in 2019, we didn't know what was happening. We thought it was going to be chaos and drug dealers and everything. We didn't know, and we erred on the side of caution there. But I think with, like Allison said, the number of conditions they have to meet with the Alcohol and Gaming Commission, I feel quite confident, and I don't see any difference with LCBO versus cannabis. But that's my thought. But I'm going to let Allison speak, and then Member Jansen, and then Member Minnings.
So just by follow-up, so just want to affirm that yes, the green portions are on the map, Member Minnings, where the locations would be permitted. If council does opt into the program, council does relinquish control as to whether or not these stores can go in 2 on a street or more in density. A comparator for, say, downtown Coldwater might be Emville, which has 2 on its main street. Back in 2019, when council last considered this, they did do a online poll for what it's worth. And back even in 2019, there was 67% in favor of permitting it, and that was 2019. And that was before we kind of knew what the regulatory landscape was going to shake out like. So just wanted to provide that information, given that there was questions about public interest. So back in 2019, it was sitting at 67%. Yeah, and there's no way for council to approve it for only one area of the municipality and not approve it for the whole thing. So it's an all or nothing decision.
Thank you for that, Allison. Member Jansen, and then Member Minnings.
Thank you. My question was going to be around similar to Member Burkett. Should we be engaging with residents to see if this is something that they'd like to have within Severn Township? I am supportive of the initiative, but I do know there are a lot of stores out there, so it is readily available everywhere else, just maybe not in Severn. And I'd hate to move forward with this and see, 4 or 5 stores, let's say downtown Coldwater.
Well, just to further to what the mayor asked, like, we just can't ask the people in Severn Falls. This is township wide, so that's something to think about. But I'll go to Member Minnings, and then Member Brennan, and then back to the clerk.
Yeah, thank you. I'm not opposed to retail cannabis stores. What I am concerned about is the relinquishing control of the municipality and having our main streets. We just looked at our vision and our mission for that, and an influx of any store. So I do see it very different than LCBOs, which I think the government chooses not to have several in one location for that reason. It's about the relinquishing the control. I also read online that retail locations are being run well. So I'm not disputing that or anything. The presentation that we had from the resident who has asked for this in his store, what he brought to the council was saying that his location, his area, the volume of people weren't sufficient to continue as a viable retail outlet providing milk and bread and things like that. I don't feel that it was demonstrated that by switching it to something like this, that has broader impact across the whole township at this time is the right decision for the one person who brought it forward when there's, I don't know that will make his business thrive from this one commodity. That's my one thing. And rather than seeing a poll of residents, I think it would be interesting to see whether or not there are other businesses that would like to operate these kinds of stores, perhaps. But I don't see there's any urgency in moving this, just because the long-term implications and the loss of control. I can just see so many of our small strip malls, et cetera, that will be these similar comparing businesses. Anyway, that's all I'll say. I don't feel, based on Tracy, what you provided, that allowing this business to operate in that one area by this one business owner is enough to make that decision on behalf of the township.
Yeah, just to jump in there, my understanding was that he was still going to be a grocery. You can still buy groceries there, and one section was going to be cannabis. Is that correct, Allison, on that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Was it Member Brennan? Did you have your? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just cannot agree with Councillor Mennings on this one. We already know that most people are fine with the sale of this. As has already been suggested. We're in. Man, there's a whole lot of things I'd like to see us control, but the free market is not one of them. We need to be controlling other things in our growth plans. So it's highly regulated, and it's really none of our business whether someone wants to sell that or any other legal thing. As far as I'm concerned, we're supposed to be pro-business. So let it go. If there's going to be too many stores, and there are too many in some locations, they'll fold and life will move on. 1 in 5 businesses fails as a rule anyway. And I don't see that we should help that process. So I support the original motion.
Thank you for that. Member Jansen, did you have a further comment there? Yeah, my other comment that I said at the earlier meeting was that a huge age group use cannabis now in all different forms, and it's all segments of society, and it's to get a cannabis operation takes a plan, a strategic plan to do it, a business plan and capital. And I agree, if 5 of them go up in a row, they have to compete. It's very competitive. So back to my original premise, I don't see the difference between an LCBO outlet versus a cannabis outlet. So I think we've got a lot of Member McIntyre, and then I think we'll put a motion for a vote.
Yeah, just through the chair, just a comment. The regulations are very stringent. McDonald's always opens next door to Burger King, so there's competition, but this is a different kind of a competition. This is, by the way, I'm in favor of the motion. We had a poll of 67% of back in, I think Allison said 2019. We're in favor of it. Because of the nature of the business, I think we're a little kind of gun shy on it. There's a lot of hoops to jump through to get approvals from above us to have these things operate. I don't think they'll just go. Again, I'm not trying to demean or anything that Member Minning said, but it's here, it's coming, and I think we should probably try to get out in front of it and approve it, and then we're not going to have any control over it anyway, because that's going to be the province. So my comment is that I just like to see the motion go forward.
Thank you for that. Any other comments? If not, I'm going to ask Allison for a motion. Okay, if you could read the motion.
Certainly. So the motion reads that administration report number 823-007 dated February 22nd, 2023 regarding cannabis retail in Severn be received, and that the Township of Severn opt in to permit retail cannabis sales, and further that the required notice be provided to the Ontario Alcohol and Gaming Commission.
Okay, we have a mover and seconder for that, please. Moved by member Brennan, second by member McIntyre. All in favor? And we have a vote. That's a carried at 5-1. Thank you.
Now, could we have that break through the chair? 5 minutes?
Absolutely. 5 minutes, and then that gives Tracy another 5 minutes. Thank you. the review of the council abeyance list. So either if Lori or Allison can ask, how does this thing work? How does it get on and how does it come off? So who would like to speak to that? Madam CAO, I see you're ready to go there. Good.
I think the clerk was trying to talk, but she was on mute.
Okay.
So the items get on based on council meetings. So from staff direction, if there's not a specific motion, but there was a direction for staff to do certain things, they get on the list and we action them. Some things we don't get around to actioning them for all different reasons. And I'll start with number one and kind of explain that. Our purpose today, though, is to just have a quick go through the list and make sure that all the things with the new term of council make sense to still be there.
Perfect.
So I'm just going to start at number one, the economic development incentives. That was assigned to me 3 years ago. Came out of just a very specific council discussion, but we really didn't have anybody that did economic development. It was not my area of expertise and it just never got done. But I would suggest that comes off because you do have now a focus on economic development and some different things will come out of your strategic plan. So I don't think it needs to be on there as is anymore.
I think that's right. Very good.
So the rest.
So next, could Allison speak to the Hedgemere Landing?
She can, yeah. I don't know much about that one.
Yeah, this is what the was a hot topic a few years ago. Member Burkett.
Thank you, through the chair, and just for the benefit of members of council, but more so because it's in Member Minning's ward. And I don't know if there's any merit, but now that we have a new owner of that property, the previous owner was very, let's just keep it, he's a previous owner. So we have a new owner. I'm not going to speak badly about someone, and I think I would look to Derek because of where this is situated. It's one of our boat launches in West Shore. And we do not have much room. If there was some hope that the province and the lands that are owned there are owned by the, I think it's the M&R, is it not, Derek? Is it owned by the M&R? That land, that piece of strip?
Yeah, through the chair, I believe it's an accretion, so it is owned by the M&R, but it could be transferred if both parties agree, is kind of what I remember from it.
Yeah, I'd like to pursue it now that the new owner that's there doesn't, because what had happened previously, and there's a long history to this Hedgemere Landing, I won't get into details, but there is a fence that is on M&R property that if we could pursue it, we possibly could use it for some extra parking as boats do launch their boats there. So I would like to see if there's a possibility to do that. And I know that it's been on the abeyance list for a long time, but we did struggle with the previous owner.
Thank you. Allison, could you comment on that?
Thank you. As the title Crown Land piece is very much not a straightforward matter with this little parcel here, perhaps this is something that I could just bring background and report to a closed session for council on whether or not they want to pursue this and the piece of land that goes with it. It's not a simple, straightforward, I'm going to say original shoreboard allowance. This is quite a complicated piece of land. And depending on where council wants to go with this, if they wanted to use any of the portion that kind of angles out near or beside this property, then we would want to make sure we go down the proper land path with that. So if council wants, I can put it on the task list to bring back with just a background report, and then we can get some direction as to whether or not we pursue land or not here.
I would agree with that because some of us have been on council in the past know how contentious it is and how it doesn't make sense to me how M&R works on this thing, but I think it's something you can bring up at another meeting there.
Okay.
Okay, the next one, Inspector Yateman. Allison,
this was the actual item here is under the description. It's not the meeting item description. The meeting item description on these columns is just sort of what was the agenda item that was on the prior meeting that brought the subject matter forward. So it could have been under, in this case, it was under one of the quarterly reports from Inspector Yateman, but there was a council motion that I be requested to report back regarding the administrative monetary penalty program. I believe it was a motion that was brought forward by Member Brennan, and it is on my progress list right now. So
So we'll leave that on then.
The next two are fresh items and they're in progress, so you can leave them on as well.
Okay. And the next one.
So the next page is for the fire department. And I believe that one is a report coming to March corporate services as well. So
the very last one on page 1 there.
Oh, sorry.
Is that off too? They report back communication options, quality and concerns related to township's water system and rates. Is that?
I know that was another one that was in progress.
That's in progress, so we'll keep it on then. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Next is fire.
So as they get auctioned, we take them off the list.
Okay.
Fire's in progress, so it can stay.
Okay. This was a request from the deputy mayor, I think.
Yeah, we were ready for February, but she was on vacation, so we moved it to March for her.
Next, here's one planning, tree cutting there. I think either Andrea speak to this or Laurie speaks to this.
I either can. We did put it in the 2023 budget, so we are planning to get that done this year. So
can we see this as
stay as a reminder to?
Okay. And short-term rentals, you've solved that one, Andrea, on that one. So we'll keep both those two on, I think.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes.
I don't want to speak for you, but I think it's safe to say it's still on there. We go to Public Works. Mr. Burke.
Thank you. Through the chair, I got a few on here, so go through each one. The welcome sign, that project's well underway, but once the sign's installed, I think we'll take that off once council is able to see the sign at Brody and Burnside line, if that's okay.
Okay.
The second one is a report regarding the value of the new position we have, the Public Works Technician, and that's actually being addressed here today.
Would you want to keep that one on, Derek, or do you want to wait till after?
It can come off because we addressed it today.
Okay, good enough.
Kelly's Road, I believe we're still actually working with the MECP on this encroachment. So we do not have we do not want to take it off, but we will be reporting at a later date of the results of that encroachment.
And those are relatively new owners there too, Derek? Is that part of the thing too, or no?
No, it's not necessarily that. It's a pretty long-standing encroachment on the municipal road allowance that kind of came to light during the Port Severn Dock project. Right. And so we're working with the ministry and the owner on that, but we haven't moved far enough to give a report on the outcome of that yet.
Okay, thank you. Elena Drive.
So Elena Drive, this one's actually sort of been concluded. It can come, well, if the committee agrees, it probably can come off. Just a verbal update. I mean, we have performed the maintenance that was required of that drainage easement, and it's certainly working well. But I leave it to the committee if they agree to take it off.
Member Burkett.
Thank you. Thank you through the chair. And I look to Member Brennan because it is in his ward. I think it can come off. And I look to you, Member Brennan, if you're okay with that.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm good with it. Thank you.
Okay, the next one, Fessenden Side Road drainage issues, I guess coming off the 400 there, Derek. I think that's the...
So through the chair, if I can, I think that one stays on and it's somewhat tied to a planning application in the area. The existing drainage situation, it is not a compromised condition, but I think that the premise, if I remember correctly, was there's a fairly large subdivision proposed for the area, and how does that impact drainage? So I think it stays on and it's kind of tied to a planning file.
Yeah, I would agree 100% with that. Okay, the next one, West Street, which is in Coldwater. If Derek could speak to that.
Yep. So this one here actually does does require a report back. So we've moved this file well along the way up to design and construction here in the 23 budget, carried forward from last year. It's a bit of a complicated one, but we are to report back on the review of the proposals from impacted property owners. And what that means is everyone, their 6 properties on Rhinebird Street are actually going to rear face the access. So their rear yards will kind of become their front yards. And we are working with individual property owners on how best to manage those lot grading plans. But the first step is to construct the first part of the road, get that up and usable, and then there will be some physical works undertaken with each individual property owner. So that's a stay, in my opinion.
So Derek, so when will West Street be completed, and when do you think those houses will have access to the road?
So I believe, like in our 2023 work plan, we have that as a priority, with a contract going out imminently to have some of those works undertaken. The works themselves will be completed by sort of the end of the year, but realistically September, October is the completion date. But the physical entrance is probably going to be the following year. They'll remain accessible through Rhinebird Street Bridge in the interim.
Okay, that's good. No, I agree. It should stay on. The next one is traffic control for gravel trucks, tractor trailers.
I believe, Mr. Chair, this is the general review of the speed limit bylaw and traffic control. That just came out of it. Was a fairly recent meeting last August where staff were requested to just have a look at it, I think, and see what traffic control measures could be undertaken.
Okay, so they definitely should stay on then.
Oh, member or chair?
Yeah, member Burkett.
Through the chair to Derek or Allison, as part of that report, can we not look at limiting the heavy truck traffic on those roads as well? Because I know that member Jansen, member Brennan, we've all had calls regarding where these large gravel trucks are going. Could that not be part of it or not?
I could probably respond to that through the chair. The report that's going to come from the Transportation Master Plan draft, and then there's actually another item stemming, I think it's later in here, that talks about a discussion on traffic calming measures will be coming in right after. So I do believe that we'll be addressing that in the near future, acknowledging the haul route issues we have, speeding as well, and then looking to OPP to do some targeted enforcements and compliance.
Go ahead, member Burkett.
Thank you. Supplementary through the chair to Derek. So Derek, when that report comes, is that going to give us enough time if council decides to also limit heavy trucks on Foxmead, for example, on Thornburn, Warminster Side Road, to post those signs before May comes?
Through the chair, yeah, that's our intent, is to, once we have the report ahead of us, the half loads are typically released. The actually end of May is the bylaw, but we see them go about May 15th. We try to take them off as soon as industry, to allow industry to continue, but our roads are safe. So May 15th is our estimated time for having those bylaws in place, perhaps.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Derek. So the next one, the Severn Estates well revision, was just tabled in January, so I think it stays on.
Yeah, the next couple are brand new.
Okay.
Perhaps with respect to, I'll say the second last one, staff to report back about the review of the parking bylaw. This came out of last June. So I believe the Director of Public Works and I actually have a meeting set up to go over this next week. So
good. So that's still in progress then.
Mm-hmm.
And the next one then, Allison, the site and fill bylaw review. That goes back a couple of years.
Yeah, so through the chair, if I can. So it is still on our work list to do. We've carried forward the budget that was approved and the consultant that was approved. We went with Azimuth Environmental. But we're going to put some more steam into that and get that back to council for review.
Okay, thank you. Good. We'll flip the page to go to recreation.
Okay,
is that the agreements are in place and they're good for how long are they, Derek? Just for everybody to know that.
Go ahead.
Port Stanton is good for this year. They just renewed for another couple of years. And Severn Falls is good to the end of this year, and then they'll renew next year. So,
and just for interest, the one in Severn Falls is the one that's going for hopefully the cannabis operation. Well, part of the deal is he waters the plants there too. So anyway, good. Okay, the next one, the portable at the Coyer Community Center.
And so through the chair, this work was actually reported on, I think it was last July or maybe
last June.
Oh, sorry, yeah. And so we do have directions on removing the structure. We have a carry forward budget to do so, and we are continuing to do so this year. The report itself will be about some of the costs of the portable and the full final cost to remove. So once we have those actuals, we'll prepare this report for information.
Thank you, Member Burkett.
Thank you, through the chair, to Derek. So the mold has been remediated from what I understand. Is it possible, seeing how we bought the portable, would that be part of your report, that to reach out and maybe advertise a portable for sale, that someone could just take it and be gone with it? Is that something you considered?
Through the chairs, we really didn't. I mean, we purchased this used to begin with, and it's been amended quite a bit for, so it's in a state of disrepair at the moment. We needed to remediate the mold because we couldn't have a township facility molded out and the occupant or health and safety of our staff be compromised in any way. But there are some repairs to bring it back up to any usable form. So we haven't, but I mean, at this time, I mean, we could take different direction, but we have direction to physically remove it.
Member Burkett.
Supplementary to the chair, to Derek, and with council's blessing, as we all know, the price of lumber, and now that you can put accessory buildings on your property, would it not be worth advertising? And regardless, of course, it would need repair, but if we paid $3,000 for it when we bought it, I remember that. So it would be easier, if someone was willing to just take it whole, it would save us oodles of money. We don't have to prolong it. It could be just advertised for a couple of weeks. If we got no respondents, we would move forward and as part of the report, have the council weigh in and discuss it. I feel there would be some merit to that. Just my comments.
Yeah, my comment is the sooner we get rid of this thing, the better.
So through the chair, if I can, I'm not entirely sure we need another motion to do that. Perhaps just step one is to see if there's any takers. So we could try that first. If there is no takers, we probably won't report back. We'll go with demolition because that is the direction we've had, but we will endeavor a sale first.
Okay, thank you very much. So that brings us to the end of the abasis. Any questions from the committee? And if not, we can have a motion from Allison there, if that's good.
It's just that the council abeyance list be received with the updates provided.
Thank you very much. We have a mover and a seconder for that motion. Moved by Member Burkett, second by Member Brennan. All in favor? Carried. So we're still in new business. Member Burkett asked that D 1.2 be pulled for discussion.
Thank you, through the chair. Sorry, Allison, did you want to say something?
No, sorry.
Okay. Sorry, through the chair, to Derek. Thank you for the report. I do have a question. Sorry, I didn't ask yesterday. On page 15, if we go to page 15, I'm confused. What exactly does this mean? If you could just explain it to me, please.
Certainly, through the chair, I'm pulling up page 15 myself. Okay. And so these are the two tables. Do I have that correct?
Yeah, they've got blue, red, green, yellow, green, like a lighter green. It shows 53,000 or more, the average.
Okay. Sorry, page 15 of the report, page 13 of the report, page 15.
Sorry, it's page 13.
Okay.
Right. Sorry, it's page 13.
So through the chair, I'm actually going to, if it's okay with committee, we prepared a small presentation as sort of a small, like an appendice. This is quite the report, and it was put on for information, but our public works technician put a lot into this, and would like to share a short presentation, and then maybe could address what this well-colored chart actually shows. If committee's okay with that. Is the chair okay with that?
Absolutely. I think more information, the better.
Okay. So I'll turn it over to Alex, who's going to share a presentation. It's relatively short, and then and that should answer the question on what these road classes are.
Good morning. I'm just going to share my screen here with the presentation. Yeah, I see my screen okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So good morning again. My name is Alex Huron. I'm the public works technician. So in the summer of 2022, we began the process of updating our roads needs study and implementing a new 10-year road improvement plan for 2023. So to begin, the new total pave application that we acquired last year. So again, the application is called Total Pave, and we acquired it to help in the process of updating our roads needs study. The image on the right there is an example of what the software looks like. Essentially, it's a mobile app that I was able to download on my phone that we use to track the condition of all the road sections in our network. And there's also an internet application where you can manage any of the data that was collected in the field. So, excuse me, the first step in the process was to complete like on-site pavement condition inspections of our current network. So this meant actually physically going to all the paved roads in our township and inspecting the pavement condition to acquire a pavement condition index, which is called a PCI rating. And the app has a tracking system for each of the road sections that I would go to inspect. And within the app is where there would be a section kind of to enter the type and quantity of any road defects. So for example, things like potholes and cracking or any depressions on the road just would be entered into the app. And then the app would then calculate a PCI score based on the defects entered. And it would display the scores on a colored map, as you can see on the right here. And in the next slide, you'll kind of see a scale of where all the different colors come from. And the second step was acquiring a international ride index, which is a IRI score. And this is essentially a measurement of how bumpy or smooth a road would feel as a user drives down the road. And to acquire this rating, same thing with the Total Pave app. We mounted the smartphone to our windshield on a rigid mount. And essentially, as you would drive the roads, the application would track how much movement was within the device. And then the amount of deflection that was detected by the phone was used to produce the IRI readings for each road. And then the two pieces of data together, the PCI and IRI, was kind of used to, along with the Total Pave analytics tools, to provide recommendations on how to preserve our road network. And some of the factors, those are some of the factors used in deciding which roads will receive treatment and when. So this was the scale I was talking about in the slide. So it kind of shows you your PCI rating could be anywhere from 0 to 100, with 100 being perfect condition and 0 being very poor. So our road network consists of approximately 353 kilometers of hardtop paved roads. And again, all of these roads were inspected during our study. Our road network is made up of a variety of different roads, from local residential roads to collector roads and arterial roads. And arterial roads, for the most part, move these collector roads to highways and county roads. So in general, for the most part, our arterial and collector roads are in much better shape. Or these would be roads like Division Road or Cambrian Road, Burnside Line. And some of our lower volume local residential roads are in a little bit more poor shape, needing some repair. So the overall condition PCI score for our entire network scored of 62, which you can see on the side here, kind of puts us in a fair condition. And the 2017 roads needs study actually calculated an average PCI of the whole network at 85, which would put us at satisfactory. So we have dropped since 2017. And with it now being down at 62, this is because there's deficient spending occurring on our road improvements each year to maintain such a large kilometer road network. And to date, the total roads needs identified in the plan are $37,213,000. And this is what the cost would be essentially to bring our entire network up to a PCI of 100. So to essentially resurface every road. So what makes a road deteriorate and get to the condition they're in? So any damage to the surface treatment, the pavement of the road. So anything like cracks, potholes in the asphalt will allow water to penetrate through the asphalt and into the road's base. And then once the gravel kind of becomes saturated and loses its strength and durability, heavy trucks or even just regular cars, the load on the road can cause deformations like rutting and depressions. And then saturated road bases over the winter are more susceptible to freeze and thaw cycles. So as the water in the gravel freezes, the road kind of expands. And as it thaws in the spring, it shrinks up again, and there's voids in the gravel for things like potholes and cracks and whatnot to form. So for the different treatment types that we've applied in the study, so routine maintenance and preventative maintenance are typically undertaken when a road is still in good shape, so that we can delay the need for more extensive rehab or reconstruction and spend less money to keep that asset in good shape. So routine maintenance would include things like street sweeping and shoulder grading, pothole repair. And these treatments are a cost-effective method. And again, they're used to kind of rejuvenate the surface so that we can extend the life cycle of that asset. And some of the preventative maintenance is things like slurry sealing and microsurfacing, which we'll touch on in the next slides, as well as rehabilitation and reconstruction, which we'll touch on. This degradation curve over on the right that you can see is kind of shows you with having your age of the asset on the bottom and what condition it would be in on the side. Gives you an idea of when you would want to do preventative maintenance, again, like crack sealing or patching at, about 10 years old, and when reconstruction would happen anywhere between about 10 years old up to 20 years old. And again, we'll touch on more of this in the next slides. So preventative maintenance, included some images here just to give you some examples of some work we've done in the township of preventative maintenance. So this can include things like crack sealing, which you can see here on Cambrian Road, we did in 2021. And then on Hurlwood Lane, we actually did some non-routine patching, which includes like removing a localized area that has failed and repaving it. And again, these are great ways to kind of keep that surface sealed and keep water out of the base. And then microsurfacing and slurry sealing, you'll see in the next slide. So these are essentially a very thin emulsified asphalt product. You can see in this image here, in this image here. And you can think of it kind of as putting new shingles on the roof being the road base. And this is a cheaper way than a full repaving to resurface a road. So as you can see in the image here, it'll take a road that is weathered and a little deteriorated and puts new surface on top of it to keep any of that moisture out. And then in this image here, this is a pulverizer, which is related to resurfacing that I've listed here. So resurfacing job would actually be removing the existing asphalt and putting down totally new hot mix asphalt. And this machine is used to essentially pulverize the existing asphalt, so it grinds it up and it's regraded to be paved over top of. And then some reconstruction. So a reconstruction would be the complete removal of the asphalt that has failed. And this is where you'll see like actual improvements to the road base. So if there's an area in the gravel that there's, again, potholes or depression, then the actual gravel itself will be removed and installed with new gravel and compacted before paving completely new hot mix asphalt, as you can see in this image here. And just for an example, back in 2019, we reconstructed Cunningham Road, and these are here they're called geotextiles. So essentially they are used on a lot of road applications where you might have wet applications, and they aim to spread the load of vehicles over the gravel base, so you can avoid things like rutting or depressions, anything like that. But the goal is to kind of do as much preventative maintenance as we can, so we avoid having to get to these super expensive reconstruction methods. And finally, so our 10-year plan. So your first graph here on the left kind of shows you year by year in red how much money we actually spent on road improvement works. And the green is just inflated at 3% to kind of show what that cost would be in 2022 dollars. So, and the chart on your, the graph on your right here shows essentially what we would plan to spend over the next 10 years on road re-improvement. 2023 is a little high there just because we're carrying over some works from Wayman Line that was supposed to be paid last year, but ended up being carried forward to this year. So in 2023, we'll see the resurfacing of Burnside Line and Boyd Road. So again, just back to this chart here, you can kind of see with where we project how much we will be spending over the next 10 years. It doesn't quite match what we're actually spending today. So in conclusion, like our asset management plan estimates that the average annual investment requires to sustain our current PCI average of 62 is approximately $4.5 million per year. And this again is only to maintain our current average, and it will not allow us to actually improve. So we note that there is a significant backlog of needs that exist, and they will continue to grow into the existing funding levels. Again, this is kind of what that chart was to show you, that as we move forward in the next 10 years and our assets become older and older, our cost to rehabilitate those projects will go up. And in this next here, you can kind of see the 10-year plan. So showing any of the roads that actually have plans to have work completed on them in the next 10 years. So example, they're all color coded, and it shows you what each type of work would be. And for the question on the chart for Mayor, if you said that was page 15 for the chair, Mike?
Yes, it was. Thank you, Alex. I can't.
This one here?
Yes. I can't see myself.
Oh, yeah, I think it's just because I'm sharing my screen.
You can speak if you want to, Member Burkett.
I think I'm on mute. Am I?
No, we can hear you.
No,
sorry. Yes, that's the page, Alex. Thank you. Thank you for the report. I do have one other question. What does PCI mean?
So PCI is Pavement Condition Index. So essentially it's a rating from 0 to 100 of the condition of the asphalt. Again, so back to this little graph here, you can kind of see with the 0 to 10 being very poor condition and it fails. And at 25, it's in serious condition, again, very poor condition, up until you hit about 55 and higher is when you start to get into fair and satisfactory and good. So it's just a rating system of it looks at a section of road and how many square meters are on that road, and for the square meters, how many defects are on that, and it's able to give you a condition at a 0 to 100, again, what condition that road is in.
Thank you.
And as for this chart here, so this is maintenance classifications that are set out by the province. And essentially this chart was taken right from them. It's different maintenance classes have different requirements. So for example, a road that falls into a class 6 does not have the same priority that a road that would be in a class 1. So this is for not only, like, it goes as far as just the road maintenance for snow removal, for actual repairs to the road. So again, usually a class 6 would be a road that has a much lower speed limit and it doesn't see nearly as much traffic. As you can see, once you get into class 1s, anything with a speed limit of 90 or higher, and once you really start to get up into 8,000 plus vehicles per day, you start to see stuff get into the higher class and they require more maintenance.
Got it. Thank you. I understand it now. Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. And that was the conclusion. I'll just leave it open for any questions.
Thanks, Alex. If you want to unshare your screen, and then I'll open up for the committee for any questions. Member Brennan and then Member Minnings.
Yes, thank you. Alex, thanks for that summary report. Very well done.
Thank you.
Wow, this report's kind of fascinating. We talk on page 22 of the report of a 2.8 million commitment and then the recommended renewal funding of 4.2. That's a huge gap. And I don't think it's acceptable that we let our roads deteriorate any more than they are now. Somehow or other, we got to figure out a way to close that gap as opposed to just look at it and go, wow, this is bad stuff. I'm not just sure how we proceed from here. This is
thank you, member. I think Mr. Burke has his hand up.
Certainly, thank you. And through the chair, yes, this is a wonderful report. Packs a big punch, but there is a plan. So for I think about 4 years anyway, the treasurer has recommended a transfer to reserve from the tax levy to effectively increase our renewal funding. So transfer to the capital reserve fund. And the goal here is to slowly get to the closing of that gap. We do know that these relatively new numbers, so we spend on average 2.7 million per year, with growing to 4 is the target, is going to take some time. But getting up to there, we do have an existing reserve account that could fund some of the time in between now and 2031, or what our forecast is here in renewal, but we need to continue those transfers to reserve to put those contributions onto the levy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Minnings and then Member Burkett.
Hi, thank you. And yes, Alex and Derek, fantastic report. Thank you. I think I understand, I know I understand a lot more about the roads. My question was, you spoke about shoulders, and I'm just assuming that shoulders are also part of the road conditions and the rating systems that you mentioned. Am I understanding that correctly?
Through the chair, yes, that's correct. So one of the defects actually within that total pave application was it was called shoulder drop off, and overall just condition of the shoulder. So for example, the shoulder is supposed to be relatively level with the paved edge of the road, obviously to avoid any drop off if a vehicle decides to pull off onto the shoulder. So that was one thing that was assessed during our site inspections. And it was kind of measured on from the level edge of the road how much deflection there was down to that shoulder. So say you had a 2 or 3 inch drop that was down from the edge of pavement down to the shoulder, then that would affect that PCI score even more. And there actually is a treatment type called shouldering, where the shoulders are regraded and brought back level with the edge of pavement. So that it was assessed as part of this study.
Okay.
Yep, go ahead, Member Minnings.
Thank you. And then and supplementary through the chair to Alex. So then, is there a minimum requirement as far as width, for example, for shoulders? So I represent a high volume pedestrian ward, I would say. And so shoulders are important for us to have. So I'm just curious because I really like the chart, the priority chart that towards the end that you showed. And I'm wondering if there's a similar priority chart for shoulders, for example, at what point they're gravel, at what point they're paved, and on, or is that a completely separate presentation on shoulders, or is it part and parcel?
So through the chair, as far as from what I understand, so through our engineering standards, for any new road constructions, there definitely are some requirements for shouldering. And when it comes to shoulder widths, I believe you asked about as well, we have different rural road standards and urban road standards. And these also, if a shoulder is justified or not, also depends on the design speed of the road. So we do have, for example, in our rural road standards, minimum gravel shoulder width of 1 meter. And then in our urban standards, the shoulder width is 1.5 meters. So we do have some standards for that. But again, that kind of pertains to any new construction that is done. If there's anything further, I could possibly pass that over to Derek to add on to.
Thank you. Any comments, Derek, on that?
Oh, through the chair, no, our technician is doing wonderful. We have set standards for shoulder widths, and in reconstructions, when we go to full reconstruction, we build back, our approved engineering standard cross section.
Okay, thank you, Member Burkett, and then Member McIntyre.
Thank you, through the chair. So I just wanted to flag the amount of 37 million to finish all our roads. But in this report, and I'll take council back to, or committee back to our budget, where we have a culvert that's 2.5 million. So this road needs study doesn't include all the culverts and bridges, and that report I think will come at a later date, or maybe this isn't the year for it. But you'll find, and Derek can speak to it, but there's that cost that's above and beyond what this is. So just keep that in mind, council. But I just wanted to go back to what Member Minnings talked about on the shoulder maintenance. And on page 18, as part of your report, you said that routine road maintenance is shoulder maintenance as well. So what we have are shoulders that are much higher than the road. And what it's done now is it's wrecked the integrity of our road. And I know I've talked about this before. I think there's a machine or something out there that go along, and I know that we don't have the time or manpower, but is that something that we may see either Alex or Derek in future budgets, so that we do not erode the integrity of our roads?
Mr. Burke.
Thank you. And through the chair, there's two questions in there I want to address individually. One is the shouldering. So we do actually have a shoulder program. It is somewhat limited. You'll see it in the activity code. I think it's 349 in your operating budget. But those events are limited, but we are increasing them. Just like we increased our gravel road maintenance program a couple of years back. Those are important parts. You're absolutely right. The shoulder is an integral part of the pavement structure. It allows the free draining of water off of the paved surface, so that if there are some cracks and things like that, we're getting the water away and into the roadside ditch. So that is definitely an area of operating that we will continue to focus on.
So supplementary, if I may, to that point, either Derek or Alex, but this wasn't included in the road needs study. So as you're traveling down that road, it wasn't included in it.
Sorry, through the chair, that would be called routine maintenance. So you'll see in the chart, sort of up a few is it's got that degradation curve. Routine maintenance happens all the time, and those are actually funded out of the operating account. So the operating account that you know we proposed in the budget for 23 includes I think it's 300 or so thousand in general roads maintenance, and that number there is systemically low compared to the quantity of road that we do have, but it does sustain our operations, including, you know, pothole repair, roadside grading, like shoulder grading to take roadside drop off, shoulder cutting, and other maintenance items that would preserve the road through routine maintenance. So those are operating budgets. They are not, like you said, they're not reflective in the $37 million of capital recommendations here we have proposed in the plan. Through the chair, just one last part to the first question there from the member Burkett. The asset management plan for the township does need to comply with the Ontario regulation, and I forget, it's OREG 588. It's on page 23 of the report. And we have met all of our milestones to date, but there are 2 more milestones to come. One is in July 2024, and the next is in July 2025. And both of those regulations will require us to have a 10-year capital forecast for all core assets. And that's where you'll start seeing some pretty staggering numbers where you combine not only a 10-year capital plan, let's say for these road assets, but when you look at facility replacement cycles, we have a lot of structures as well. We have 39 structures in the township, you know, that are part of the transportation service area, but are not in this report. So those asset management plans show you the true costs and estimated capital for a 10-year plan. And that next update is July 2024.
Great, thank you.
So supplementary, if I may, to Derek, through the chair. So Derek, that report that we get for bridges and culverts that we get every couple of years, when will that come forward for council?
Through the chair, so that's on this year's cycle. So it's once every 2 years as regulated by the province as well. And so we're on that cycle year for this year. The assessment usually occurs in the sort of just after the flood season. We typically see our assessors out there in June, and then they finish their reports and they're delivered to council by approximately August, September.
Okay. Thank you. Member McIntyre, I believe you wanted to comment.
Yes, thank you. Through the chair. Good report, Alex. Very good report. I'm just looking for a little clarity on the $37 million. Does that take us up to a top rating on the chart, or are we still, after 10 years and 37 million, are we only still fair on the rating? Maybe Derek can answer that.
Through the chair, if I can, and yeah, I think during the presentation, it might have been stated that we'd go right up to 100. That's not actually the case. It would be $37 million addresses all the identified needs. Some roads, our identified needs are minimal. You know, the need might be for a brand new road like Canal Road, let's say. The identified needs might only be $5,000 for routine patchwork over the 10-year span. So this doesn't bring us up to 100%. And what it does not do as well is it doesn't sustain the network through those 10-year periods. So even if you spent $37 million tomorrow and did all of the treatments that are listed in the plan tomorrow, it would be one heck of a good paving network, but you would still have degradation over the next 10 years. So at year 10, your general PCI would be degraded to, let's say, 90 PCI as an average.
So supplementary there, that wouldn't put us up to the top, but it wouldn't leave us down at 62% and a fair rate.
Absolutely right. Yeah, that's it. Those kinds of investments, are almost somewhat terribly difficult to execute at a current staffing resource level we have. But if you were to do all that at once, you would probably forever, for a very long period of time, always have the ability to sustain that network with, you know, the current $2 million a year investment.
Thanks.
It addresses a bunch of backlog.
Thank you.
Okay, Member Burkett.
Thank you. Just one last question, Alex, and thank you for the report. It's well done. Can we go to page 31 and just walk us through one line just to see? Let's do.
Do you want to share your screen there, Alex, and then Member Burkett can add some dialogue?
Yeah, let's do number 2488, Agnew Road, from Agnew Road to Grass Lake Line to Shoreview, Rural, and just what all this stuff means as we carry on, like HCB. I know the 60 is the speed limit.
Yeah, so HCB just means high class bituminous. So it's we have like, so that would be like a hot mix asphalt versus like a slurry seal or a double high float, which are non-structural. They're just another way to like seal a road. So you could slurry seal or double high float a gravel road. So yeah, HCB just means a higher class of surfacing, which would be a hot mix asphalt. Yeah, the speed limit, the maintenance class, it refers back to that chart that we discussed earlier, the colorized chart. So this one happens to fall into a maintenance class 5. The road length is just the length of that segment between between Grass Lake Line and Shoreview Drive. Surface of the road, width, AADT stands for average annual daily traffic, so that on any given day, the average amount of cars that road segment will see is 279.
So sorry, Alex, can you just tell council what we have in our inventory to measure or count how many cars, just so that we're aware?
Yeah, so a lot of the actual counts we've done like internally. So I've done them with either a Black Cat radar or we have Trax Pinnacle tube counters. So both are devices that one's a radar device, the Black Cat, and it sits up on either like a hydro pole or a tree, and it counts not only how many vehicles drive by it, but how many vehicles drive by in each lane and what the speed is of those vehicles. And the tube counters do the same thing. If you guys have seen them, they are the 2 little black tubes on the road. They're usually spaced about 1 meter apart, and they count axles as they drive over top. And they're also able to tell you how many vehicles pass in each lane and what speed they were going and how many cars went over them. And then some of them are just projected from our transportation master plan. We haven't been out to every single road to complete a physical count. So that's where any of the remaining ones have come from that we haven't done. And the International Ride Index goes back to what I mentioned earlier. It's kind of like a measurement of how smooth a road feels as you drive it. If it's super bumpy, if it's nice and flat. And PCI was the Pavement Condition Index, so just the current score of what that road is in today. Your rehabilitation proposed. So for that one, it's a double surface treatment, which is just a way to resurface the road. And then the rehabilitation cost for that segment would be $117,000. And priority guide number is, again, refers back to so if a road were in very terrible shape, but it only saw, say, 50 vehicles per day, then it doesn't have a very high priority to be resurfaced. Whereas if a road saw 500 vehicles per day, it takes a higher priority for us to resurface it because it sees a lot more users on a daily basis.
Okay, just one other question. So where like I thought like the other road needs study had priorities as to what years. There's somewhere in the report where it says what year we're looking at repaving some of these roads that are in the report here, like this chart.
So there's the appendix G here. There's not only the map, but there's also the graph as well. But this map here for your 10 years, any of the color coding you can see down in the legend here. So for example, green would mean the structural overlay or reconstruction. Then you can actually see the year on which road. Any road that doesn't have a year on it, there's no plans in the next 10 years to do any work to it.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Great, thank you. If you want to ensure that one more chance for the committee to any comments. If not, excellent. A lot of information. You can file that one for future use. If not, then I can have a motion from our clerk.
Certainly, the motion reads that Public Works Report number W23-004 dated February 22nd, 2023, with respect to the road needs study update be received as information.
Okay, I have a mover and a seconder for that motion. Moved by Member Minnings, second by Member Brennan. All in favor? And that is carried. The next new business item is D 1.4, and Member Burkett pulled that one.
Thank you, through the chair. I just wanted to say what a well-written report, but looking at what we need to do in the future, and some of the costs are pretty minimal. The only thing I wanted to comment on the north and south yard, and I know that I've had a discussion with Derek, they mentioned, I forget which one, but they looked at some of the aging radiant heaters that are in those work buildings and the amount of fuel that they're using, and they were recommending electric. So I mentioned to Derek, as part of our ongoing study, maybe look at geothermal, if that's something, another option, only because of the lands that are available on those two work yards. We do have ample land that may work, but just a suggestion.
Okay. Member Brennan.
Yeah, I agree with the mayor. This was a fascinating report. What are the next steps, though, for like, where do we go from here with this? How does it work?
Mr. Burke, he's in there now.
Thank you, through the chair. So, yeah, the reason we undertook the study was twofold. One, if we ever do apply for a grant for either through Enbridge or Save on Ontario, or even through a provincial avenue, they often require a copy of the energy audit so that we are demonstrating that the facility has been reviewed by ASHR approved consultant. And so we are satisfying that requirement for future grant opportunities. So that's kind of one of the primary reasons we undertook it. Where do we go from here? You'll see in the report, they call it low-hanging fruit. And so we are looking to, undertake maintenance and maintenance and capital projects, that are low-hanging fruit and give us the best return on investment. We've already included a number of projects this year, knowing the draft report was finished just last fall, to address some of these items. And for example, the North Yard has a capital project listed called a North Shop Rehabilitation, but it includes a number of recommendations already listed in this report, replacing the garage doors that are currently, very low insulation, no insulation garage doors with insulated ones, and upgrading lighting bays to LED are already part of those projects. And so that's what helps us drive a recommendation to council that these are valuable projects, and they also address some of the greenhouse gas emissions that we have a plan to reduce.
Great, thank you. Any other comments on D 1.4? If not, a motion, Allison, again.
Certainly, the motion reads that Recreation Report number R23-005 dated February 22nd, 2023, with respect to energy audits for select municipal buildings be received as information.
Okay, once again, a mover and a seconder for that motion. Moved by Member Jansen, second by Member Burkett. All in favor? And that is carried. Then next item for new business is D 2.1, and that was Member Brennan asked for that one to be discussed.
Yes, thank you, to the chair. This was forwarded by Allison as an information item earlier on, and it involves the February 1st council resolution by Huron County with regard to, in essence, with regard to federal licensing of cannabis. This is it. you can support cannabis in one way, and then there can be problems in others. But basically, here as Huron County says, it's not. This is not that anyone's against or opposed or to the growth of the cannabis plant in a commercial way, but there are serious older impacts on local communities and residents from cannabis production facilities, and particularly, and I've discussed this previously with the mayor, with regard to local medical practitioners, the local medical license aspect of things. And we have the same challenges, certainly in Severn Township, Ward 3, Ward 4 that I know of. I don't know if it's anywhere else, but these individual medical purpose licensing situation is a pretty big loophole, and it is something that I think we've tried to address perhaps in the past. But while this report calls for they have a fairly comprehensive action plan in Huron County, I'm not calling for us to consider that, but I certainly would like us to consider forwarding a letter, as they have. They have a sample letter in their documentation that would go to the federal government with regard to wanting them, again, pushing them one more time, showing support across the board for better regulations and closing the loopholes around some of these so-called medical growth licenses that are, in essence, pretty ridiculous. So, there you'll see in the package there's a letter to Health Canada in this regard, and I was hoping that we could send our own version of that to Health Canada, just to let them know that we're not letting up on this. We'd like to see this matter fixed.
Thank you. Any comments from the committee and/or Allison?
No, I have a draft motion ready for committee's consideration.
Okay, if there's no comments from the committee, if we can hear the motion.
Certainly. So the motion reads that the Council of the Township of Severn supports the County of Huron's call for a review and amendments to the Cannabis Act and the current legislative framework for production of cannabis in Canada.
That's great. I'll have ask for a mover and a seconder. Moved by Member Brennan, second by Member Burkett. All in favor? Carried.
Might I suggest, Mr. Chair, at this point that we go back to the mission statement?
Excellent. I was going to ask if Tracy can help us with F 3.1. Thanks, Tracy.
Hello again. So through the chair and based on your comments on mission statement A and mission statement B, it seemed that the thing that was missing was the reference to all season tourism. So I've integrated that into option C, which is presented on the screen there before you. So I guess at this time, I would just ask if there's any further comments, and if not, then either, I guess, per Allison or the chair, just a vote on if that's acceptable for your revised mission.
Yeah, I'd be curious if the members could comment, like Member Brennan and or Member Minnings, see what they think.
Thank you through the chair. Tracy, I have nothing to add or take away from it, and I really appreciate the extra time you took today.
Thank you. Member Brennan?
Yeah, the addition of tourism item is good. I would have liked to have seen the measure development in there, but that's not make or break for me at this point in time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So quick, if you can unshare the screen and just do a quick straw poll on that, and then. Perfect. So straw poll on option C. I think that's a go. Thank you. Thanks, Tracy, for reacting that quick. Next, we'll move to committee updates. So I'll start at
Mr. Chair, I just need you to still take a vote, an actual vote.
Oh,
so,
okay, sorry.
So yeah, I'll read the motion for you. So it'll be that administration report number A23-006 dated February 22nd, 2023 be received, and that the Township of Severn approves the revised mission statement as presented as option C, and that the Township of Severn approves the revised vision statement as presented as option B, and that the revised mission and vision statements be included in the 2022 to 2026 Council Strategic Plan.
Great, thank you very much. We have a mover and a seconder for that motion. Moved by Member Minnings, second by Member Jansen. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. So we'll jump to H, committee updates. We'll start at wards 5, go to 1, and then end up with the mayor update. So Member McIntyre, if you share anything from Ward 5.
You kind of got me first this time. This is different.
Absolutely. You're number 1, Jim.
Yeah, I'm number 1. Well, I'm pleased to say that I had a discussion with the foreman of Guild Electric regarding the traffic lights at Muskoka Street and Highway 169. He advised me last week that this week they'll be pouring forms for the posts for the direction, the traffic signals themselves, and that a safe bet would be sometime by the end of March, early April, we should have traffic signals there.
Wow.
So I was pretty happy to hear that. Other than that, there's, it's kind of quiet. And, we have had the Kim's Log Cabin restaurant's been closed. I think he went on a kind of a sabbatical back to Korea for a visit. And it's a bit sketchy as to when he may open again, but we're anticipating that mid-March he should be back or earlier. So otherwise, all's going well in number 5. Thanks.
Great. Thank you for that. We'll go to Ward 4, Member Minnings.
Hi, I have 2 committee updates for you. The Culture and Recreation Committee met for the first time with the new members and had quite a detailed meeting because it had been a specific length of time. So we're really excited about moving forward on the new agenda over the next 4 years. So thank you for that. And the Orillia Library Board is the other committee that I sit on. And an orientation for the new board was held on Saturday. And the first board meeting is this afternoon at 3:30, and it's open to the public and available by Zoom also. And Tracy was kind enough to put a notice on the Severn website under the community calendar for a grand opening of the Orillia Library's Makerspace, which is happening this Saturday with ribbon cutting and cake at 10 a.m. at the Orillia Library, and working hard to promote some of these new services across Severn Township, like converting VHS tapes into data files, and being able to laser print and make posters in color, and wood burning signs for small businesses, etc. That's all free or very minimal cost for residents to use. So more on the Orillia Library, but lots in store there.
Great, thank you. Over to Ward 3, Member Brennan.
Thank you, the chair. Yeah, so 2 committee updates. The Orillia Physician Recruitment Committee is quite active, and they, in essence, they're reviewing aspirations for review and prioritizing, looking at creating regular opportunities for all committee members to contribute to goals. They're really anxious to have everybody rowing here. They want to continue to increase the medical learner experience, enhance opportunities to support physician retention. They're looking at the possibility of a new recruitment event, like a gala weekend in the fall. In addition to that, they're looking at the one of their suggested goals at this point in time is the development of a dedicated family medicine website, social media type of thing, also some materials for trade shows, and a quarterly medical learner social gathering. They're very concerned about the mental and physical health of our existing physicians, and that's part of the effort that this group wants to make to ensure that we have the health services that we need. So that's that group. The other, the last meeting I was at for the Orillia and District Agricultural Society was their AGM on February 9th. They provided financial updates, financial statements, and bank account records. These were not audited statements, but pretty close for year end. It looks like the ODAS is healthy financially. It seems to be doing quite well. Some of their big income earners are back this year. The Ram Rodeo in June and the Fall Fair in September. And they will be going back to doing some of their Halloween stuff in a different, with a slightly different approach, because they've made investments already in that. They continue. And apparently, it's quite popular. Of course, the roller rink brings in lots of revenue for the group. And anyway, they're up and at her as well. And for those of you who are that way inclined, there's a video dance on April 1st there. So go for
it. Thanks for that. And we'll swing over to Ward 2, Member Jansen.
Thank you, Member Brennan. I had a great time on Friday night at the roller rink. That was my first time going there. It was amazing. For Southeastern Georgian Bay Chamber of Commerce, they are working on rebuilding and re-engaging with their membership right now. They are looking at new member pricing that will be rolled out, as well as a benefit package, member benefit package that's going to be brought out to their members, so they fully understand what they get in value of being a member of the chamber. They've got a lunch and learn coming up on the March 17th for businesses or members, businesses and non-members that can learn about attracting and retaining employees, something that's important right now. They did receive a letter from Severn. I believe Tracy had sent it over about economic development, and they are planning on signing on to that. Right now, they do have ad space available on their tear-off map, as well as in their directory. If anybody knows somebody that would like to participate within that area. For the Coldwater BIA, we were to have a Fun Fest, Frosty Fun Fest, on February the 18th. Unfortunately, that was canceled due to weather. They did still have the snowmobiles on display, vintage snowmobiles that were set up right in downtown. The next event looks like it'll be St. Patrick's Day, March the 17th at the Legion. They have been holding regular event committee meetings, and they are looking at finalizing an event list that will be put on a bookmark that will be able to be circulated. And that's it for me.
Okay, thank you. Then Word 1, Severn Sound Environmental Association. We had our orientation on January the 30th, and they're hosting an event on March the 24th at the Coyer Community Center with awards to the various people that have made contributions to the environment. So that's a big item in March 24th. Matchinash Community Heritage Center, getting more activities there. We've got weddings, celebration of life. So it's good to see it back up and running. In addition to, we have a quilting club there, and I think the judo club meets there twice a week. So it's good there. I think Member Jansen's in on that one too. Coldwater Mill, we've got plans for 2023, but just to let the committee know, in 9 years, we're working on, the mill will be 200 years old in 2033. So that's not that far away. And we're getting a site plan done. My brother's a retired architect, and we're coming up with to try and maximize and utilize the backyard there. So that's the plans for 2033. And in addition to that, our newest director is Jane Dunlop, is back on the board. She was a former director and was instrumental in saving the mill from demolition back in the 1990s. So the committee is doing well, and other than the meetings being too long, we're getting lots done there. So it's good. So we're going to pass it over to the mayor with an update from the county there.
Thank you, through the chair. Mark, what was that date on the 24th, Severn Sound? What are they having? I didn't get that invite.
Yeah, that's I think Allison sent it out, I think, but it's Friday, March the 24th at the community center.
What time is it at?
I believe it's 7 o'clock, but I can confirm that by the next time. But these are hosted every year, and just updates on what different successes that they've had in 2022.
Yeah, so that's at the Coldwater Community Center. That's where they're having. All right, perfect. Thank you. So just from the county's side, we did approve the budget, which is almost $600 million. And I sit on Orillia Lake Country. We're all in except for Ramera. They're struggling with Ramera. They don't want to give their 20,000 as they always do every year. So they're going to go hopefully this month or next month and do another presentation in hopes of getting them on board. But it's a 4-3 split. And those are my comments.
Thank you very much. No motion there, Allison. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, do we a small break for the CAO, or do we go into camera? Sorry, do we have an update for?
I was going to say, I think through the chair, it's my turn. So
yes,
I can always use the washroom break, but I was coming on because it was my turn.
Okay, let's do a CAO update, and then we can have a small break and then go on camera. That's okay.
Sounds good.
Absolutely. Thank you. Just a couple of quick things I wanted to update council on. We had Simcoe County CAO's meeting last week, and there was 2 things that I thought council might be interested in. One, we did a round table on where everybody landed with their budget percentages, and I would say we are right on average. Everybody was quoting blended percentages, which is what we like to do also. And most of the targets were just getting shy of 4%. So we're right on, which is always good. There were a couple that were higher for sure, and a couple that were lower, but I would say average. And interestingly enough, the biggest topic at the meeting was staff recruitment and retention. Throughout the county, municipalities are finding it really, really hard to find staff. The City of Barrie was talking about how they don't get the best candidates anymore, and they have to settle, and they have all these student jobs, and students don't even turn up for their interviews and whatever. So just something for us to keep an eye on. Touch wood, we've been fairly fortunate both in our retention and in our recruitment. We haven't had a terrible amount of recruitment, and we've been successful, but it may come our way at some point that it's getting tougher. So it seems to be, the hiring market seems to be tough out there. I'm not sure where all the people went, but my colleagues were lamenting it greatly, that they were having a lot of trouble finding good talent. So lots of other small topics, but I thought the budget one in particular might be of interest to council.
Thank you very much. So how be we do a quick break here and maybe get back at, say, by 11:48, if that'll work.
Sounds good.
So
As
can we?
long as Derek's back, because it's his party.
Yeah, we need that guy. This one.
Okay, well, we can pass the motion to go into closed.
Okay, if we could have the motion read.
Certainly. So the motion reads that committee resolved in a closed session that this meeting is hereby now closed to the public pursuant to the Municipal Act, SO 2001, Chapter 25, Section 239, Bracket 2, for the purpose of considering litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board.
Thank you. If we could have a mover and a seconder for that motion. Moved by member McIntyre, second by member Brennan. All in favor? Carried. And Derek, are you on?
Okay, so the motion reads that closed session adjourned at 12:28 p.m. and that this meeting is hereby now reopened to the public.
Okay, do you have a comment? Do we have a mover and a seconder? Moved by member McIntyre, second by member Burkett. All in favor? Okay.
Next
And
motion
next motion.
reads that Public Works Report number W23-002 dated February 22nd, 2023 with respect to Wateman Line Resurfacing Project, IPAC Paving Limited be received, and further that staff proceed with option 2 in the report.
Okay, a mover and a second. Moved by member Brennan, second by member Jansen. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried.
Okay.
And I'll ask for the motion to adjourn.
Perfect. So that this meeting be and is hereby now adjourned at 12:29 p.m.
We have a mover and a seconder for that. Moved by member Minning, second by member Jansen. All in favor? Carried. Have a great day.
Everyone have a good day. Thank you.